Hi, Dr. Ron Eaglin, coming to you from Daytona State College. This is a small lecture on IT Fundamentals, part of the IT Fundamentals series, and basically just things that you need to know. And today we're going to talk about FTP, or good old File Transfer Protocol. So, bottom line, fundamentals of what FTP is to transfer files between a computer and a file server. The file server itself is usually called an FTP server, but it's to have the ability to just take files and move them back and forth. It's got ability to do this very quickly, but really the bottom line is moving files back and forth. So let's quickly look at the commands. FTP was originally a command line language, so knowing the command lines is a good thing to do, especially if you want to actually work with FTP and command line. And we're going to give a demonstration of this. Simple commands that you would need to know. First command you typically issue is open, to open a session with the server. Open is what you would do if you're on an FTP command line. You would just simply type open and the name of the server that you wanted to open the connection with. You might be prompted for a login and a password. Then you have some simple commands like get, which would retrieve a file from the server, put, which sends the file up to the server, LCD, which is change directory for the local machine, CD, which is change directory of the remote machine, because obviously the files have got to go back and forth from one location to another, and LS, which lists the files on the remote server, helps you in finding the files. There are other FTP commands, making this short and sweet and listing those basic commands. One of the beauties of FTP is the concept of anonymous FTP. In the case of anonymous FTP, you would log in, type in your username anonymous. As a convention, you typically enter your email account as a password. A password would not normally be required. And anonymous FTP is very useful if somebody's put a bunch of files up and wants to give access to a large group of people to those files. They can easily do anonymous FTP to get in, find the files that they want, go ahead and get those files, put them on their local machine, and then they've got them. So, there's a lot of other ways to do this, but anonymous FTP is still used quite a bit. So an example of FTP, if I come over here and I bring up the Windows command line. If you don't know how to bring up the Windows command line, it's very simple. You just go to the Start menu, type in run, go to the Run, and type in CMD. That'll give you your command line. And in the command line, to start up FTP, you simply type FTP. That will give you the nice little FTP prompt. If you don't know what the commands are, you forget, you can always type that. The question mark will bring up the help. In addition, you can also type in help. Okay. Then the commands are simply issued as command lines. So if I were to type in open, now it doesn't know where I'm going to open to because it needs to know the name of the server. I'm not actually going to open a connection with the server here. This is relatively easy to do. So I'm going to go ahead and just stop right there, come back to the FTP command line, and then when I'm done, I can either type quit or bye, and I will jump out of my FTP session. There's a lot of utilities that gets you around the command line. One of the favorite utilities is FileZilla. One of the things that's nice about FileZilla is the fact that you can always go straight to a host this way, but it's also got a nice site manager. So if I were to connect, let's say, to one of the sites that I wanted to connect to, and you notice in the command line it actually goes through and does all the different things that you would normally see in a regular command line session. But the beauty here is that I can actually see my local file host, my remote file host, and it's a drag and drop interface so that if I actually wanted to drag and drop a file from one direction to the other, I can just drag them over. Realize that if you're going to send files to an FTP server, you have to have access to do that, or so each thing has its own access level based on your user login. So that's relatively straightforward ability to move files back and forth. I didn't want to spend a lot of your time. You can pretty much figure out all the rest of FTP from just the simple stuff that I've shown you here. So there's two utilities. By the way, FileZilla, open source, free application, nice and easy to get to, has lots of capability. That, within 5 minutes, is what you need to know about FTP. Thank you very much, and good programming.